And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 4, episode 30, folks. This is a QCast hot take right here. Fresh off the press, the UAA Men's Basketball Athlete of the Week, Hayden Doyle, folks, is on the QCast. Let me give you some numbers over 2 big ball games. We got Carnegie Mellon on a Friday, Case Western Reserve on a Sunday. 34 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 14 and 27 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. Hayden, I got to ask you, as you made the big shot and you're running back on defense on the other end, what was that the moment that you knew that you might get the QCast call? I mean, tell me what's going through your head, and did you think that the QCast would come calling in that moment?
I guess not my first thought was whether or not I would get the invite. But when I opened my phone, and I think it was the first or second tweet on my feed, I was happy. I knew I would accept the invitation. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, we also have to give a big shout out to your guy Drake, because I gave him the invite after the dunk of the year. In my opinion, I gave him the invite, and he sent me a very nice note back recently about his injury, and just that he thought the timing was better to have you accept this invitation. And so I want to give him a huge shout out and thank you for the very nice note. And I want to thank you for accepting the invite. And by the way, we've been bantering for a little while now via some direct messages. And on the QCast, Hayden, I have like a series of themes I want to talk about. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna bump one up to the top, which is golf. I can tell you want to get a piece of me in golf. And what I'm worried about is that you were a 4-year varsity high school golfer. Is that correct?
Yeah. No. My freshman year, I was on the freshman team, but then three years varsity. Yeah, 3 years varsity.
So if you went out today at just a normal course in St. Louis and you golfed 18 holes, what would you shoot?
Uh, Probably anywhere from like a 70. Oh, about that. That was a timer for our 8 o'clock meeting or 9 o'clock meeting. If I went out now, I'd shoot somewhere from like 79 to 85. 79 to
Boy,
85.
okay. So, are you going to need strokes? Do I have to give you any strokes, or can we just play this straight up?
Well, what's your handy? What would you shoot? I got to know that.
I mean, it depends. It could be a 76, it could be an 81, somewhere in there. But I think we just play this straight up for pride. Are you in?
Yeah. Straight up. I like straight up.
Okay,
Straight up.
we're gonna do that, but I am really worried about the 4-year competitive golf thing, because I'm just out there beating this rum drum named Kevin, and I've been taking this guy's money for a while, so I got to believe that you're going to be very difficult to handle. But in all seriousness, Hayden Doyle, what a weekend for the Bears. Do you agree with this, that was kind of the season was going to go one way or the other last weekend? Like, if you lose both of those games, I think you have a really hard time being in the mix in the UAA, maybe even if you split them. But the fact that you come out of there with 2 wins, it's like all of a sudden, man, we're right in the middle of this thing. Is that how it felt to you, or am I making too much of those two ball games?
No, I think that's pretty spot on. We knew that they were big games and both home games. And then Friday, being Hardy Strong night, that was obviously that one meant a ton to us. And then obviously Sunday, Case came in ranked. They had lost to Chicago, obviously, but they're very, very talented and very good team. So yeah, I mean, you see the stuff on Twitter about how many games you got to win to get in the tournament, and the conference race and all that. And yeah, we probably had to win both of them, and you got to protect home court. That's in this league. It's tough on the road. It's really tough.
The Carnegie Mellon game, the Friday night game, you guys were really tough in that game. That was a difficult game, and you guys really grinded that thing out, and then you get yourself to Sunday where you're playing the number 2 team in the country, and I believe you're down. Was it 15,
Yeah,
16,
16. Yeah.
16? You're right. And I remember I'm tweeting in the first half, like, it feels like WashU's in a lot of trouble. It feels like they can't guard Case. let's first talk about the bad part of the game, the part where you got down 16. They're making shots. They were difficult to defend. What was going on early in that ball game?
Yeah, I think part of it was they got a couple offensive rebounds that led to some, open catch and shoot threes. And they're a team. I mean, they can really score it. So you let them see a couple go early, and look out, because they're gonna score like 10. I think I don't know what the run was, but it felt like 10 or
Yeah.
12 in a row unanswered. And we missed some good looks, but that's just basketball. It's a game of runs, and being down 16 is. I mean, we there was a sense of urgency for sure. We knew we had to. We just had to get stops. We thought we could score. I mean, we were getting good shots. We just weren't making them. So once we got a couple stops, and I think Will Gudzinski, like, he had a bank three at the end of the half that
Yeah.
cut it to 7, which was was a big, really big shot, kind of a momentum shifter. But yeah.
Yeah. He makes a three from the left wing that banks in. It felt like the end of the first half felt enormous to me, in that, like, you went from feeling like, I don't know if they can come back, to they are very much like, I remember thinking, if I'm Case Western Reserve, I feel like I've dominated the first half and I'm only up, was it 9 or 10?
Seven.
Yeah,
Seven, yeah.
7, 7. All right, you got to 7. Like, you had to feel pretty good going into the locker room at 7, right?
Yeah, 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 I think so, for sure. Yeah.
The end of the game's kind of a blur to me, because it was unbelievable, right? It's like you had back and forth and back and forth. Once you guys caught up, and then you had this flurry, and we get to overtime, and you guys are down. I guess this would have been right after Sam Trunley makes the
Mhm,
shot. You're
mhm.
down 86 to 85 with 12 seconds left, timeout. What was the plan? What was the offensive plan down 12 seconds? Like, who was the ball supposed to go to? What was the plan there?
Yeah, I mean, it was like we figured they would pressure a little bit, and it was just kinda like a full court play, kinda just, I guess, get the ball in my hands and just kinda make a play pretty much, I guess. And yeah, I was able to kinda create just enough separation and make a shot. But yeah, I would guess that was the plan.
And it was a pretty tough shot, right? It was, I think you banked it in from, like, I don't know, 6 feet from the
Yeah.
right side. It didn't seem like like an easy distance or an easy shot. Um, Talk us through that on your end. Like, was there any thought of, I'm in trouble down here, I need to pass it, or was it, I've got a good look and I'm taking it?
Um, Gosh, I really don't. I wasn't really thinking, to
That's probably
to
good.
be honest. Yeah, which is probably a good thing, right? Yeah, I mean, I kind of was like, if I can find a way to get a shot, I thought there was a good chance I'd make it, pretty much. And lucky that it found its way home.
And you guys win that huge game in overtime against Case. And now we've got a situation where, in the UAA, NYU, which won a really big game against Emory at home, they moved to 5-2. They're all alone at first. And then just a mishmash. So you got Case at 4-3, you're 4-3, Chicago's 4-3. And then right behind you got Emory 3-4, Carnegie 3-4, Rochester 3-4. Brandeis is in last place at 2-5, and they're a really good team. I think they lost by 1 point at Case. So they're a really good team. Let's talk about the UAA for a second here, because I think for the last 2 years, Hayden, we've really been talking that the UAA has been the best league in Division III these last couple seasons because of the unbelievable depth. There is no team remotely bad or even average. When you look at, like, whoever the last place team's going to be, they're probably a top 70 team in Division III. Just what's it like to play every Friday, Sunday, kind of, week in, week out in the UAA?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's really fun. Like, I mean, it's what you want as like a competitor, every night. And it really is every night. Like, and we know that as a team. Like, there can never be like, either you can never take your foot off the gas. It's every weekend. It's fun because every weekend a team presents new problems, and every team's a little different, which makes it really fun. But yeah, I mean, coach, when he recruited me, he told me like that this is how it's going to be. And I think every year since I've been here, I think the league's probably gotten a little better every year, and I don't know about next year, but it's really the best. It's awesome.
You mentioned getting recruited by Coach Yuckham, and you're a junior. You're from Brookfield, Wisconsin. First of all, I should add in here, I'm not sure you're really the best like hooper in the family. I've gleaned that sister Addison, who is a junior, is
Yeah.
also a hooper. Talk a little bit, if you would, about sister Addison and her abilities on the court.
Yeah. So she's a junior. So we were never in high school together. But she was on varsity as a freshman. And in her 2 years, her freshman year they made it to the state semifinal. Her sophomore year, last year they made it to the state championship. And I think it was last Friday that she hadn't lost a conference game her whole high school career
Wow.
until Friday. So yeah, no, she's had a good run.
Yeah, she's a great player. Shouts to Addison, and good luck the rest of the season. You mentioned getting recruited, and I'm always interested to know how people land where they land. If you're a hooper in Wisconsin, you're getting recruited by a lot of people. There's no hiding when there's a stud hooper in Wisconsin. Well, I'm just curious, at the end of your process, what two or three schools outside of WashU were you considering? Like, who else was on you that you were really seriously thinking about?
Yeah, I was between WashU, Michigan Tech, which is a Division II in the UP, and
Sure.
Northern Michigan. Yeah, those were the final three pretty much.
Northern Michigan, a D2. And so how did you make that decision? What were the things that drew you to picking WashU?
Yeah, well, the first part was definitely the academics. Like it's a great I mean, it's an amazing university that coach when he was recruiting me, he was like, when you come here, it's not for 4 years, it's for 40 years. And I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And then obviously my relationship with Coach Yuckham was great. I think he started recruiting me my junior year, and kind of had, he's from Wisconsin. We had some mutuals. And then the last thing was when I was lucky enough to visit because I came to the camp going into my junior year summer. And I was able to meet a couple of the guys, and got on campus, and I mean, campus is beautiful. I'm sure you've been here. The campus is
I
great.
have.
And just a great energy about the place, and yeah, it's been a great fit for me.
So your senior year of high school would have been that awful like COVID year, right? Where you're hooping wearing a mask and stuff. Was that
Yeah,
your senior year of high school, right?
yeah, exactly.
So that kind of leads us into you mentioned Friday night was Hardy Strong celebration there at WashU Fieldhouse, and you've been a 3-year starter at WashU, and what that means is that when you were a freshman, you were there for Justin Hardy's season.
Hmm.
And you would have started alongside Justin. And I'm just, I know that's a difficult subject, but really wide open question to you is, tell us about that season with Justin Hardy and just getting to watch unbelievable stuff in a great way, like unbelievable stuff play out on the basketball court.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's something that I'll never forget, obviously. And for me, a lot of it, what he did on the court was probably something that we'll probably never see again at the collegiate level. But for me, it was more off the court. Like he really kind of took me under his wing, and like there was a couple nights where like I was really struggling as a freshman, and he's always who I would turn to. And we had multiple, long conversations, and he was kind of like a big brother to me, I guess is how I would put it. But he really trusted me and really believed in me. And I mean, if he believed in me, that's that's kind of all I needed. He was the best, man. And obviously we miss him a ton. But it's always great. His family still comes to a bunch of games, so it's great to see Karen, Bob, Jackie, and Nathan. They were all there this weekend. So it was awesome to see them. Such a great family.
You
But
know,
yeah.
The game that I was at that season was I flew up for the Illinois Wesleyan game, and I know that he had a bunch of unbelievable games, like the Dubuque game comes to mind,
Yeah. Mhm.
several others, but the Illinois Wesleyan game, that's such an emotional, like, rivalry type of game. I think it's a rivalry in a great way. It's a very heated, like, in a great way game. And just talk through, like, that was December 19th, 2021. His performance in that game, in leading you guys to a really big win. I think we may have been ranked 2 or 3 or something like that. Talk through that day at the field house.
Yeah, I remember him being really fired up for that one. He was I mean, he was always just locked in, but specifically that game, he was really locked in and ready to go. You could kind of see a look in his eyes that night. And he just balled out. He was so good. And think about him, like if he scored, he scored, but he impacted the game in so many different ways. He's a great passer, he's a great rebounder, good defender. Um, and then just kind of the edge he brought to our team. He never had a bad day, which is crazy. Like he never ever had a bad day in practice either. And yeah, he was great that night.
So his legacy for you, obviously, it's a great one for everyone, and his story is unbelievable. But when you have like Hardy Strong Night, what Hayden, what's your personal legacy of Justin Hardy, like his battle and the way he handled it? Like what did you take away from all that you'll never forget?
Um, one, probably the resiliency, that he showed. Like it was early my freshman year, he'd be around and he could hardly like shoot a basketball. Like and he would tell me like I'm probably not going to play this year. And then he made a crazy transformation, like with his body from the fall to the first practice and then the first game, and then by the middle of the season he was he was playing. He was first team all conference guy. But then just kind of he was just all about love that year, man. Like he had such positive energy. Like I said, he really never had a bad day in practice. He was always smiling, always giving high fives. And he was just full of passion and joy. And it was special. It was really special to be around.
Yeah, he was a unique person. I always tell people, I had him on the QCast the week of the Illinois Wesleyan game that year, so it would have been December of 2021. And I mean, I just to this day I'll never forget him like smiling for an hour telling me about this stage 4 stomach cancer, and I remember clicking off the thing like I can't believe what I just saw in this kid's attitude. So I special person. Um, Unbelievable. I think everyone has a little different takeaway from what he went through and what it means
Mm.
to people, but just a one in a million type human being. And so certainly thinking about his family as you guys celebrate Hardy Strong Night this past Friday. Want to just for a second talk about you a little bit in your season. You're having another great season. You're a 3-year starter, first of all. That's really hard to do, Hayden. Like this better than I do. You can be a great high school player and come into a great Division III program and not see the court until your junior year. That's very easily something that can happen. You've been starting 3 years. You're averaging 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. You're shooting 505 from the field, which is fantastic. You're shooting 411 from 3. Just talk about your progression from your freshman year to here being a junior for WashU.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, I'm so thankful that coach, trusted me early on in my career. And I had a good freshman year, and then last year it was a little different because my freshman year nobody really knew who I was. And then my sophomore year I kind of jump up on the scouting report a little bit to where I'm not getting many open looks anymore, and I really got to work for the shots that I'm getting. And then now this year, I feel like the game's kind of slowed down a little bit for me. You know, um, I guess I know how to get to my spots a little bit better. Like I know how to play in the system better. I'm better, defensively too. and then just a confidence thing too. I've played a ton of I've played a ton of minutes, so
Right.
it's like eventually like it's gonna click, and I've had a good year so far. I mean, I still think I can improve a lot, but yeah, it's been so fun playing for WashU.
And the team's doing really well. 14-4, 4-3 in the UAA. We mentioned that big weekend where the season probably could have gone either way on several fronts, both the UAA and maybe even the NCAA tournament. All of a sudden, you're in really good shape, and you're going to have a bunch of tough games in front of you. But your team, you guys have lost Drake Kinsvater to injury. By the way, am I saying, isn't it Kinsvater? Am I saying that right?
Kinsvater. Yeah,
Kinsvater,
Kinsvater.
Drake Kinsvater. You've lost him to injury, but you seem to have found a nice new rotation, and he losing him was huge. He's like your leading scorer, maybe your leading rebounder, shot over 50%, athletic, like 6'6" kid that did a little of everything. So it's a huge loss, but you got guys stepping up. Obviously, you're playing really well. In no particular order, let me ask you about this Kyle Beeden kid. Like who's this? Who is this kid, and why is he making all these shots? Let's see. Like, where did he come from?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, good. Thanks for asking about him. Like you said, like a lot of guys come into a really good college basketball program and don't get to play right away. And he was one of those guys, but from early on, you could tell he could really shoot it. It was just going to be the other, like the defense, taking care of the ball, that all the kind of little things. And he last year he was killing it in practice. He was like so close, he's so close to cracking the rotation. And then this year, even when Drake was healthy and everything, he still was
Yeah,
was
he was
a,
good early.
he's a huge piece for us. He's probably one of the best shooters I've ever been around. Like he works on it, tirelessly. And he just loves hoops. Like he's always watching it. He lives and breathes it. I'm so happy he's getting to show what he can do this year. He's been awesome.
Like the possession before your big shot, like he made a three that takes you from down 2 to up 1.
Yeah.
And by the way, why was there no one within 12 feet of this kid? I mean, I've got the scouting report on Kyle Beede. Why was there no one within 12 feet of this kid, Hayden Doyle? Like, tell me what was the defense doing there?
Yeah, we kind of earlier in the game we were running this ball screen concept that was really working for us, and we kind of did like kind of a counter to what we had been doing, and we thought that they could kind of mess up what their defensive scheme was for it. It was a great set by our coaches. Got him a
Yeah, because it
really
was
good look.
all of a sudden it's like he's there, pass, shot, good. A great call by Jay Murray too. By the way, I can't remember everything he said, but I remember laughing at. He's like he was alone. Why was he all alone? Like I'm like deep thoughts by Jay Murray. I don't know why he was alone, but I thought I'd ask Hayden Doyle. Hey, another guy, this big guy, Calvin Caprell. He's becoming better and better in the low post. He's averaging 10 points, 4 rebounds. He had a lot of big plays in that game in the second half. He knocked down some big free throws. He made some big shots. Talk a little bit about Calvin Caprell.
Yeah, he was unbelievable in that second half. But he like last year we kind of had a bunch of bigs, so he would like rotate in. Occasionally, like he'd play. Some games he wouldn't play. But he made a huge jump this summer. He put on a ton of muscle, and really worked at it. He's always had really good touch around the rim, but it was he had to get his body ready for the Division III game, which is really physical, as you know. And so yeah, he made a big jump with his body, and then this year he's just game by game he kind of gets more confident, and he's really talented, and I think he can really keep getting better as the year goes on. And yeah, he was really good in that second
He
half.
did. He had a
Down.
really good second half. Wouldn't have won that without him. Another guy that you have is really talented. I believe he's only a sophomore. Will Grodzinski is a great shooter. I think he's gone through some periods of time this year where he struggled shooting it. I think he's coming around though, which is kind of scary for the UAA because he made a couple shots from like the left corner in the second half of that game that just
Yeah.
he looked like himself again. They were really pure, didn't touch any rim. Talk a little bit about Will Grodzinski.
Yeah, yeah. I know you've said this before, but he's he's one of those guys you look at him, he's 6'7", can shoot it, can get to the rim. Super, super talented. And, kind of same with him, like that happened in my sophomore year a little bit. Like when you have a good freshman year, teams are gonna, they kind of know what you can do a little bit more. And so, he's higher on the scouting report. And I mean, he's just had some shots that, haven't have been really good looks that haven't gone in all the time this year. But, he's a huge piece for us. And this weekend was awesome for him. And I'm so happy for him. He had some really big shots.
Yeah, he's a high level player, and if he's starting to make shots, I think that makes your team really dangerous. Another guy I got to ask about is a very talented guard, Yogi Olaf. I remember coming out of high school, he had a lot of buzz around him, and I remember when he committed to WashU, thinking like he's going to be really good. Like that's a perfect fit for him. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Really a talented guy with the ball in his hands, and really a talented guy on both ends of the floor. Talk about Yogi a little bit.
Yeah, he's great. He's a huge part of our team. He's really steady. He doesn't. I don't know what his assisted turnover is, but I'm sure it's like probably over 2. Takes care of the ball. Makes plays for others. He's super unselfish. Super unselfish. And he's probably our best defender. He gets so many. He has super long arms. Gets a ton of deflections. Really pushes it in transition. He does a lot of things that don't show up in the box score necessarily, but things that we need on this team to be really successful. And he's a great competitor as well. Just loves competing.
Yeah, really just a hooper, good player,
Yeah.
does everything right. You can't ask about everyone here. We don't have enough time, but a guy from the weekend that stood out to me, and I like stories like this where, like a guy just like gets his number called and he comes in and he does great. And you're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce his name. Jabari Safite. Am I in the ballpark? Am I what?
Shafay.
Shafay,
Yeah.
Jabari Shafay. Okay, I mean I wasn't really in the ballpark. Jabari Shafay. This kid had a big game for you Friday. You don't win the
Yeah.
game Friday without him. And
Yeah.
then I thought without him early Sunday, that 16-point deficit may have been like 24. Like he was kind of keeping you guys in contact. Talk a little bit about Javari and kind of what he brings to the team and what he's brought to the team in the last week or so.
Yeah. Well, first off, what he brings to the team is he has a super, super positive energy about him. Like he's one of our main leaders on the team, no doubt. Like he brings a ton of positivity, a ton of energy to practice every day. He's very mature guy. But like you said earlier, like there's good players who don't always get their chance, and he's a perfect example of staying ready so you don't have to get ready. He's been ready, for this opportunity, and now that it's came to him, he's showing what he can do. And there's no one else on the team, that I'm just so happy for him, and for what he did, what he did this weekend was incredible. Yeah, I agree. In the first half, I think I said to it after, I was like, you kept us in the game. Like we probably don't win that game if you're not hitting some shots early.
Right.
But yeah, awesome
Yeah,
story.
really. Yeah, kind of like a 2/3 guy. He's like a
Yeah,
slasher, but he can shoot it. And
yeah,
I thought his aggressiveness was a big part of keeping you guys in the basketball game. Um, my guy Hilltopper blog, he gave me like my script for this episode, which I've taken some of it, but he needed to point out that you're 2-1 against my team, which means I got to ask you about like so. I fly up to Bloomington, Illinois, to watch my team play WashU last year. We
yeah.
battle back. And I can't remember if we're up one or if it's tied. But take us through the final seconds of the game at the Shirk Center last, January, let's call it 3rd, I might say, 2nd, 3rd. Like, talk me
Yeah,
through the
sounds right.
final seconds of that ball game, Hayden.
Yeah, I think we got to stop. or you guys might have scored. It was tied. I remember it was tied.
Tied sounds right.
But yeah, we got the ball with, I don't know, 15, 12 seconds left, and kind of got the ball, looked at Yuckham, was like, okay, he's not going to call a timeout. And then I think I got a ball screen. Charlie had been having a really good game, so I kind of wanted to pass it to him, to be honest. But then, kind of got on the ball screen, got downhill, and then kind of just rose up, hit a mid-range jumper, and then yeah, I mean that was it. Like a second left, I think.
Yeah, it's like a 15-footer, right? A little. If you remember things in your head. I'm not sure if it felt like you were a little bit fading away. Like it wasn't a
Yeah,
perfect look, right? Kind of like a
yeah,
little had to push it a little bit, and it wasn't like a perfect look. It was just a great shot.
yeah, yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Now, there is a game that my team won, and that was earlier this year. Let's just talk a little bit. Look, in all seriousness, no one expected that game to go the way it did. I think we played great in that game. What was that game against the Titans like this year? Was it around Thanksgiving time or so?
Yeah. I mean, kind of try to put that one out of the memory, to be honest. I'm just kidding. No, we learned a lot from that game. But no, you guys were great. We came out a little flat. I mean, we were 4-0. I think you guys were 2-2.
Yeah,
And we kind of, they came in like they need, they're kind of life dependent on that game.
must win.
Not really, but you know what I mean? Like they were really ready to go. And I think they kind of just hit us in the mouth. And most games we do respond, like, the Case game. I mean, we've been down a bunch this year where we've been able to fight back, but they were super physical. You guys made a bunch of shots. And yeah, I mean, you guys always play good defense. That's a staple of the program, obviously. But really high on them. I mean, I think they're a really, really good team. And I mean, I think they're showing that in the CCIW.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
kind of
Absolutely.
won or whatever. But
Started to play better here in January and really string it together. And let's not rule out the fact that these teams might play again, because that's happened many times, and I'm not ruling that out. We're talking to Hayden Doyle here, folks. He's a 6'1" junior guard for the WashU Bears. They're 14-4. He's coming off a game-winning overtime shot, which was a huge one. I got to ask you, just before we start to wrap this thing up, I always like to ask the student athletes on here about their Division III experience. We have the YD3 hashtag. We like to promote, all the great things about this level. You're 3 years into it now. What's been your experience? What's your take on this level of college basketball?
I think it's probably the best decision I might have ever made in my life, was coming to this school. Well, the first thing is just kind of the community the team gives you when you get to college. All it was alumni weekend this past weekend too. I got to see Jack Nolan and David Winley and a bunch of other guys. And those aren't like, fake relationships by any means. They're still my good friends and my current teammates. I live with one of my teammates, Tyler Van Eckeren. So, just a great community of guys, great people. And then academically, I think it gives you a chance to attend, in my case, one of the best, universities in the country academically. And then also just the support we get from our administration and everything, to be able to travel like we do in the UAA and then miss some classes. And they're super supportive of that as well. And then the basketball piece too, of course, it's getting to compete, playing a game that everyone at this level really loves. When I say all that, it's kind of like, how could you not love it? Right. It's awesome.
And I know you're a smart kid, and I know you play Wordle, because like I remember like a year ago, I get a direct message from this guy, and he's like, have you seen Wordle? And I've done Wordle, but I don't do Wordle every day. And so then I had to do Wordle, and then Wordle comes out to like Shirk, SHIRK. So that I appreciated you thinking of me when you did your Wordle and it came out to be Shirk. Do you remember doing that? Does that ring a bell at all?
Yeah, yeah. I remember. I think actually, a shout out to my mom. I think she was like, "Send this to that Q guy." I say, all right, I'll send it to him.
I appreciated that. I did. I wouldn't have found that out on my own. So I really appreciated seeing that. Um, final question for you, and then I'll ask you for any final thoughts here, Hayden. But the rest of the season's a bear, right? I like every Friday and Sunday, this UAA is like entertaining. Every single game, all 4 games, Friday and Sunday they're huge every time. I don't remind me, who do you play this Friday, Sunday? I didn't even look.
We play Carnegie on Friday and then Case on Sunday.
Yeah,
So
so good luck with that, right? You play the same 2 teams, you just
mhm.
beat them. Now their backs are against the wall because they're at home. Talk like the rest of this gauntlet that is the UAA. How do you approach the rest of you're at the turn here, right? You've played 7. How do you look
Mhm.
at this back half of the 7?
Yeah, well, I just think you can't get too far ahead, like it's 7 games, but really it's just we really just gotta focus on Friday. I mean, we'll really just focus on tomorrow. How can we keep getting a little bit better, And it really is just that because when you look at all the games, like I was thinking I was looking at, it's on some of the UA. I saw some UA stat, and it's like the point differential. It's like
Oh
points
yeah,
for, points against, and it's literally like every team is like
right,
up 5 points or like down 5 points, and it's
right.
just those little details, a side out of bounds play that they score on, or one offensive rebound put back, and it's like those little things are the difference. And it's like how can we put ourselves in a position to make that extra play? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be really tough, but I think we're all just it's super fun Friday night and Sunday afternoon to play in this league.
It's a great point about the differential because just off the top of my head, I mean, I've literally watched almost all of these games, which is disturbing. But like NYU's NYU's 5-2. You and I both know you should have beaten them at their place. Like you guys messed that
Yeah,
one up. I'll just say it. And then Chicago should have beaten them. So
yeah,
think of the difference in the standings there. Case Western Reserve is 4-3. They they've won over Brandeis at home by 1 point, and they've had other tough games in there, right? As well. You guys are 4-3. You've had a bunch of games that can go either way. If we went all the way down the standings, everybody has had these nip and tuck games that are like season changing type final possessions.
yeah.
And that I think that's why the UAA is the best league in the country this year. It was last year because everyone's good. And when your last place team is Brandeis, and I think Brandeis would win like half the leagues in Division 3 or more. So that's pretty unbelievable. Hayden, you're a stand-up dude, and you're a great player. You're a great student. You're a great student athlete at WashU. Unbelievable finish to that game, man. Like that was high intensity. That's what it's all about Sunday. And kudos to you and your teammates. Kudos to the shot you made. You got some WashU fans tuning into the QCast. You got D3 Nation tuning in. You got Sister Addison for sure. Sister Addison's tuning in. What would you like to leave the QCast viewers with today here on the QCast?
Ah, well, wow. I guess I just think the support for Division 3 in our own little bubble is really special. Like I think I speak for a lot of like Division 3 players. Like we all see it. We all see what you guys say, and um I think we all really appreciate the love that you and all the other D3 Twitter guys and everything. We all appreciate what you guys do. And then to WashU people, love all you guys, and to my teammates and coaches, keep rolling.
It's very
And
well said.
thank you, Q. Thank you
No,
for
it's it,
inviting
it
me.
it's great to find. Like I said, we've been kind of having a little banter, I think, since your freshman year behind the scenes. So it's really great to finally meet you. And thanks for accepting the invitation. Again, shout out to Drake for the very nice note, and hope
Yeah.
you get better, Drake, and feel better. And I hope there's hoops in front of you. You're a great player. Folks, that's Hayden Doyle. He's a 6'1" junior for the WashU Bears. They're sitting at 14-4, and they have the Carnegie Mellon Case Western Reserve trip right in front of them this Friday and Sunday. Hayden, appreciate your time, and we will see you down the road, my friend. And let's not count out that rematch of that basketball game, okay?
No, definitely not. Thanks, Q.
Thank you.